Hey everyone, this is Michael Feng, co-founder and CEO of Hummingbot. Hummingbot is the leading open source and free um, software project that allows you to create your own high-frequency trading bots. Right now, we start with cryptocurrencies. So every week we do Hummingbot Live, which is a weekly live streamed show that where I run bots, I show off the new features that we release in Hummingbot, answer questions from the audience, and talk about all things crypto. So let's get to it. So this week, I wanted to really kind of like showcase some of the new features that we have released in Hummingbot in the last release, as well as some stuff that we're coming out in the next release, which is coming out in about a week and a half. And the reason is because so next week I'll be in China attending the Shanghai Blockchain Week. So we probably won't have a Hummingbot Live next week. And we have a lot of new stuff coming out recently. So for example, in the last release, we had the Huobi connector. And in the upcoming release, we'll have paper trading mode and a revision to the cross-exchange market making strategy. So I really want to take this particular live stream and just really show you guys how it works, and so you can really hit the ground running after it's released. So without further ado, let's get to it. So I have the development version of Hummingbot installed here. So I'm going to start that up, and but before I do so, let me show you guys something that's coming out in the next release, which is how to turn on something called paper trading mode. So to turn that on, actually, let me show you how it works first, and then we can kind of like go into more details about how it actually works. So let me just start Hummingbot. What is this black thing here? Where is that? Weird. Is that the? Yeah, why is there a black thing here on the camera? It's odd. Strange. Okay. There's like a weird black thing underneath my face. Hello. All right. Anyway. Okay. So you won't see my face, but that's okay because I'm not that good looking anyway. So let's pick a strategy. Pre-market making. Let's create, and let's see. I'll pick Huobi, and then let's take let's do ETH USDT, single, and let's see. Let's pick a really tight spread, and cancel orders pretty quickly. Whoops. Okay. Whoops. That was wrong. No. Okay. Whoops. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. The parameter I accidentally typoed. That was, let's see, I think that was, cancel order wait time, that's right. Config, cancel order wait time, I put 30 there. Okay, let's start that up. Okay, so what I'm running right now is a market making bot on the Huobi market. So Huobi is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. It is, so it's probably one of the most active volumes. But if you actually notice what I'm running, I'm actually running something called the market. It actually isn't Huobi. It's Huobi underscore paper trade, and the reason for that is because I don't actually have 10 Ether or 10 USDT on Huobi. Wish I did, but these are kind of like fake values that I've entered into the configuration file, and I've turned on paper trading mode. So currently this is only on the development branch, but it should be released in the upcoming release. So these orders are not actually being created on the Huobi market. However, what Hummingbot is doing is it's looking at, sorry, that's my email, Huobi, oops, sorry, 1 second. It's looking at the Huobi market and oops, Jesus Christ, it's not Huobi global. I think it's Huobi global. and it's basically like trying to kind of like it's dummying those values so that it's using the live order book and the live trade tape to simulate how this market making strategy would actually behave if it were running on the real market right now. So what that means is you can run things like status and see kind of like what orders you're placing right now. So right now you have a buy order at 179 and a sell order at 179.4. And you can also run the history command to see kind of like what trades the spot would have made if it is running this strategy. So paper trading mode is really intended to help you kind of understand how a strategy behaves without actually risking your real capital. So let's talk about how to configure both paper trading mode and the Huobi connector. So for Huobi, if you like kind of go through a strategy, you pick Huobi, you'll automatically see questions that show you how to enter the Huobi connector. And for paper trading mode, right now it's a development branch, so it's to turn it on and off, you have to change a configuration setting in the global configuration file. But we might try to make it a little bit easier in the next kind of week or so before we actually release it to production. But basically, there's a variable in the global config file called paper trading mode enabled. So by default, it's false, but you can also set it to true. And there's also kind of like there's dummy balances you can enter in. So let me show you what that looks like right now. So if you go to let's see, if you edit Hummingbot, which is let's see, I think I have it here. If you edit this global configuration file, you can see that down below at the very end there's one kind of like a variable called paper trading mode underscore enabled. So if you turn that to false, then it uses your actual balances. When it's true, it will use these. Assume that you have an account with these balances below. So these are kind of like dummy settings, like 3,000 USDT, some ETH, some BTC. You can alter these values to give yourself, like higher paper trading amounts. And Hummingbot will essentially assume that you have those balances when you run paper trading mode. And it will kind of like, and similarly, when you run history, it will deduct and increment those balances to determine what your kind of like paper performance would have been if you were trading. And then similarly for Huobi, this is also kind of where you store your Huobi API and API secrets and those kind of things. So yeah, so that's pretty much about it. So the other, I think paper trading mode is a really important feature for us because it allows users to really test out new strategies, and really kind of like to test out Hummingbot in general, without having to deposit assets onto an exchange or other things like that. In fact, I believe that with kind of like with Ethereum exchanges, with decentralized exchanges, you don't even need to create an account on a centralized exchange in order to test out Hummingbot. All you really need is an Ethereum wallet, and you're off to the races. So we actually will probably kind of revise our quick start guide so that it really guides people through using paper trading mode as the default behavior, so that it just reduces the number of dependencies that you need to have before you get started with Hummingbot. Is there any questions about how it works? Please put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to show off one more new feature, which is the change that we made to the cross-exchange market-making strategy. Okay. In the cross-exchange market-making strategy, this was kind of one of the first strategies that we built at Hummingbot. And I think a lot of users were kind of like, were uncertain about how it worked. In particular, the behavior where it would sometimes not place orders when it felt it wasn't profitable to do so. But I think the goal of the cross-exchange strategy Actually, let me kind of just explain like kind of what like some of the things we changed before we go into how it works. But basically, in the previous version, which was something that we first developed when we first came out with Hummingbot, it would decide if an order was profitable, and then it would decide whether to keep that order or to not place that order because it wasn't profitable. But the way it works, cross exchange works, is that you make a market on one exchange, and you essentially hedge any filled orders on another exchange. So the idea is that the one that you're making on is less liquid, and the one that you're hedging on is more liquid. So that you're arbitraging the spread differential between market one and market two. So what we changed in the new strategy is we did a few things. First, we made it simpler. So we kind of hid a lot of the advanced parameters so that you can still alter them, but they're in the configuration file, not in the kind of like the configuration walkthrough process. The second thing we did was we made it such that you're always placing orders on the maker book, and so these orders are always a certain spread higher or lower than the prices on the taker book, which is the market you're hedging on. So now instead of deciding whether you should or shouldn't place orders based on profitability, now Hummingbot always places orders on the maker book, and the price of the maker orders are equal to the taker book plus a certain spread. So hopefully this not only makes it simpler because instead of like canceling and adjusting orders all the time, it always leaves orders on the maker book, but it also should be more effective in terms of increasing the level of liquidity on that maker book. So let me go ahead and configure a cross exchange market making strategy, and then we can discuss how to further increase or how to further customize its behavior. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and turn paper trading mode off here, mainly because I want to be able to show you guys what it looks like from the actual exchange perspective, and that means that I'll need to turn paper trading mode off in order to show you that aspect. Okay, so now that paper trading mode is off, we are playing with real capital here, and I'm going to go ahead and run the bot. So I will do cross exchange market making. And one thing I always like to do, is to do this on a single exchange. So I'm going to do this with 2 pairs on Binance. And since we're doing the, I know I have a bunch of one because we're doing the liquidity bounty program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a market on the USDT PAX pair, and I'm going to hedge that on the USDT on the one USDT pair. So the tether pair is going to be more liquid. The PAX pair is less liquid. So that's why this strategy should work. So let's set a fairly low profitability, maybe like 1,000 or so, and then let's start and see how that works. Oops, I didn't realize I'm actually not showing the screen here. But basically, yeah. So here's a configuration. So we picked cross exchange market making, Binance for the maker exchange and the taker exchange, and 1 PAX for the maker pair, 1 USDT for the taker pair. So we're making a market here. Any filled orders we're hedging here, and 0.005 is the spread that we're adding here. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. There's a bunch of errors for some reason. This is what happens when you run a demo on the developer branch. 1 second. Let's see. Okay. All right. Something's going wrong. So I'm going to cancel this. Let me let's see what's going on here. Okay. How's that? Okay. All right. So I'm gonna try this again. I might have just kind of done something wrong when I was configuring it. So let's try. Let's try a different one. Let's try Binance. Let's try. Actually, let's try. Let's say Radar maybe. Radar. And we'll do Binance for the other one. And let's do with die for this one here. Let's do with die, and we'll do ETH USDT for the other one. ET8 ITC. There you go. Let's see, these are 5. Let's see, 0.5 maybe? 0.1? Yes. Okay. All right, so let's see if that works on another market. I may need to recompile. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So now let's see what it's doing. Looks like it is doing things correctly now. And so you can see right now there is it's placing orders on Radar Relay and then hedging them on Binance. So let's see what that looks like. All right, so I think we're making markers here. Great. Okay. So you can see that here's my buy order, and here is my sell order up here. I'm not sure what these are. Are these actual orders? Yeah. Okay. So looks like there might be a bug that we need to debug still. This is why this feature is on the development branch, so we have another week or so in order to fix any bugs before we release this to production. But essentially, what this cross exchange strategy now does is it always basically places orders here. There should only be one, but right now there's like a lot for some reason. So I'm actually going to stop this bot, and then it's using Binance as the other side of this trade. So if one of these orders gets filled, it will then hedge the other side on Binance and hopefully lock in an arbitrage profit, which is equal to the differential between these spreads, these prices, and the prices on Binance, which should be much tighter for the Ether USDT pair. And I apologize today for the kind of like the technical difficulties, and as well as the kind of like the running code which is on the development branch, which is going to be buggier than what's on the production master branch. However, I really wanted to show you guys kind of some of the new things coming out, because I think that with a Huobi connector, it will give people just more options and more markets with which to experiment and run trading bots. The paper trading mode is a really essential feature for us because we want to lower the barrier of entry for anyone to use Hummingbot, and we want people to be able to test it out, see how it works without risking their real capital. And so hopefully that'll do that. And finally, the cross exchange strategy. Now that it's more predictable and simple, we hope that people will start using it in order to really kind of like provide liquidity to the exchanges who need it most, like decentralized exchanges, while also being able to make an arbitrage profit by capturing a differential between more liquid markets and less liquid markets. So that's it for today. I wanted to kind of like just in terms of questions, if you have any questions, please post them on the chat later on today or on the YouTube channel, and we'll make sure to answer them in the comments. Thank you, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully with a little smoother presentation talking about live. And I might kind of go over some of the features again today after we've resolved some of the bugs that currently exist in the stuff that we're showing you right now. Thank you, and have a great rest of the week.